Hey everyone, what up? Matt Kaiser here. Now, I've played a lot of JRPGs within the 5 years ever since I got into the genre. A lot of them either containing a full sense of adventure, others being like playing a full-on Shounen Anime in the best way possible, and others telling a more darker and more mature story in a way that is sort of grounded. Or others that are just basically a dating sim mixing with any of those other things I just mentioned. But, what if I wanted to play a JRPG that had none of those? A JRPG that doesn't have things like saving the world, killing a god, or even trying to have a relationship with your 3D polygon or 2D JPEG. A JRPG that is more out of my comfort zone, but in reality is a comfort zone. Well everyone, I found that answer now with Gust's latest offering in the Atelier series. Real quick history on the franchise, but the Atelier series is Gust's long-running flagship series, which began all the way in 1997, same year as GoldenEye and Final Fantasy VII. With their creation and style being really different than other JRPG contemporaries at the time, even in the case of this game I'm reviewing now, saying, quote, "I'm done saving the world," and it's saying more of a carefree and cozy experience. The series has come a long way since the PS3 era and now has gone to the mainstream a bit with particular thanks to the Rise series. Well, that and a certain part that other people were definitely in for. Wink wink. With the series now turning 25, Koei Tecmo and Gust decided to celebrate by not only releasing the final game of the popular Rise series, but also a brand new remake of the game that, began this whole series to begin with, Atelier Marie, Alchemist of Salsburg in 1997. Which, a game like that has been originally Japan exclusive for not only the Sega Dreamcast, PlayStation 1 and other platforms. But not only that, but if you got the deluxe version of this remake, they would have also provided a port of the original game fully localized, a feature that I think any remake nowadays should provide. And with history lesson over, I think it's time to experience what is pretty much baby's first Atelier experience with Atelier Marie Remake, The Alchemist of Salsburg. But before we begin, if you like what you've seen here, by all means like the video, click that subscribe button if you're new, and hit that bell notification icon if you want to get up to date by all JRPG content from yours truly. As also, we're also reaching a milestone to hit 500 subs by the end of the year, and if I do reach that year, I've got a big special coming up if we do reach 500 subs. So if you'd like to hit that sub button, by all means. Also, special thanks to Koei Tecmo Europe for providing me a review code of the game for PlayStation 5, as this was truly a massive honor. And note, anything that I say here is from my own words, so anything you hear is from my own words and my own opinion, so in any way, this is my own review, and I just want to point out there. Anyway, with all of what I just said now out the way, let us dive into the bright world of Atelier Marie. So our tale begins with our titular protagonist, Marlone, on which we call her Marie, living in the also titular city of Salzburg, setting herself of trying to be a successful alchemist. But however, her grades and performance in her studies are absolutely terrible, pretty much being branded as the worst student in her own class, and is just this close to expulsion. It's only then when her teacher, Ingrid, takes pity on her and gives her one last chance by allowing Marie to have her very own atelier, where in 5 years' time, she has to produce something that is truly outstanding. And aside from that synopsis, the whole story in general is pretty much light and simple to a T. If you're looking for a more complex and groundbreaking narrative, then you are not gonna find it in this game, or I think almost with the entire series perhaps. As stated before, The Atelier games more have low stakes and more of a carefree experience, minus the deadline bit. If anything best, that this is more of a character journey, driven by said characters with Marie, striving to, and for once, succeed in her own life. And not gonna lie, it's pretty entertaining to sit through, as she is quite bubbly and funny too, and her companions, that being the party members you do hire and whatnot, are also enjoyable in their own right. Some of them you do get to feel and know them pretty well, and their interactions with Marie's antics are also great. Same goes to the NPCs who I pretty much remembered and enjoyed talking to. There were also quite some moments that actually made me even feel sad for the characters. Again, this is more for a character-driven experience more than, say, a story-driven experience, as you want to see Marie succeed, and for once, I have particularly no qualms about that. When it comes to the visuals, this game takes an interesting approach. Now, the original game on PS1 and Dreamcast was this 2D pixelated game and had these top-down grids, and ever since the PS3 era with games like Atelier Marie, the series has gone through the realm of 3D, and with later entries like Sophie 2 and Rise of 3 have really nailed their aesthetic and looked generally pretty. However, with the remake of Marie, they've obviously brought the characters and graphics into 3D, but instead of the third-person view and the characters having full proportionate models, the devs themselves decide to have the characters more chibi-like, as well as the characters more fixed, especially when you're exploring. As a result, this makes the game itself look really cute and colorful. In a way, it reminds me of the rather pretty looking and charming remake of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening for the Nintendo Switch. Not only that, but there are even cutscenes of characters in their full-on 2D portraits and look absolutely incredible and full of energy. Some nice visual gags here and there got me laughing a bit, especially the one with the whole weapons trader and his hair loss. The monsters themselves look pretty cute, and the environments are absolutely pleasing through the eyes, especially throughout the weather seasons, and this game really runs well on PS5. While I do understand that this visual style may not appeal to everyone, especially to those who probably got to the series with Riser for 2 reasons, I think this art style has its charm, and in a way, it respects the original game's art style from the PS1 and Dreamcast. Moving from now the visual side of things, we now get to the gameplay. Now, Atelier is known for its turn-based combat, with the remake of Marie being no exception, having 3 party members, as well as having things like a turn order so you can see whether it's your both parties and enemies' next turn to attack. With this game, you also have things like row positioning, which is similar to, say, the classic Final Fantasy games, where depending on your character's position, will get benefits, like front row benefiting physical attack, and back row benefiting magic. However, in terms of actual combat, the game is pretty simple, of having just a normal attack, special attack, a guard button, as well as the ability to use items. In cases where things like critical damage and stealth elements and evasion just happens dependently. So yeah, compared to other turn-based JRPGs and even the likes of possibly the more modern ones, Marie's combat is pretty basic, all things considered, with some of the only small varying improvements of characters having like 2 special attacks when they reach a certain level. Though thankfully, with its party recruitment system, a lot of the characters you do have are slightly varied and do slightly play different. And to be honest, I actually enjoyed the simplicity right to the point of using my most powerful move against enemies, decimating them in one absolute single blow. So yeah, like the story, if you're looking for an engaging deep combat in this game, then you pretty much have to look elsewhere. But if not, then that's fine, as I think its simplicity is pretty much the game's strongest asset. Though it's not just battling monsters that Atelier is known for. That, my friends, is due to gathering items and crafting them, all in under a deadline which the game is built upon. Gathering items is easy, I would say, until your basket is full, and when you have the right amount of items, you'll be able to craft various amounts of items. Successfully, your EXP will increase just like you would also in battles, and you'll be able to learn more recipes for new items when you are able to collect new books. However, crafting does cost MP as well as your fatigue levels, so try not to synthesize willy-nilly, otherwise you really get tired, and the more you get tired, the less chance you're able to craft successfully. In fact, pretty much resting is a good way to, of course, reduce your fatigue and restore your HP and MP. But that will cost, of course, various days, and in fact, pretty much a common factor with the Atelier series is time management, where a lot of your actions will cost you each passing day. Things including returning to your atelier, exploring through numerous locations that have their own cost of how many days pass, especially when you're gathering or battling, as well as crafting items. Depending on how many you use, it can cost a lot. So it's always best to plan ahead and see what to do is worth it, as certain events will happen on particular days that the game will prompt you to ask if you accidentally skip them. There are of course two modes that the remake provides. One is normal mode, where it allows you to play through the time limit of the original, meaning you have exactly a 5-year deadline to play until it finishes, and then the game is over. Or preferably for newcomers, and the mode that I picked was called Unlimited mode, where even if the major deadline has passed, you can still keep playing and end the game whenever you want, though at the cost of some events not triggering to this mode. And to be honest, I was able to get really everything done pretty well, with Marie boosting her reputation to the max, as well as having a ton of knowledge and getting Marie to also max level at a couple of days before the deadline was over. And my experience with this crafting was really fun and satisfying to pull off. Not only that, but I feel like all of my hard work of gathering said items really paid off, especially when newer items to craft get really hard to pull off. So yeah, overall I really liked it. Now of course I think it's best to bring up the music of this game. And for a game that's all about being cozy, you would expect the music in this to match the vibes really well. And you'd be right, as the music in this game just does that well with flying colors. A lot of them absolutely fit the mood very perfectly and give a sense of wonder and fun that truly complements the art style. The Salsburg theme especially is a true highlight, especially with the flutes playing. The soundtrack for the remake, I have to say, is pretty good, and if you want, you can also switch it to the original soundtrack of the PS1 and Dreamcast game. So this is normally the part where I play a bunch of music, so I'll be playing a bunch of music. And lastly, before we wrap things up, let's bring up, what this game truly offers outside of battles and crafting. And there's a lot to unpack. Majority of them is of course the side quests where you gather and craft items for a certain period of time, which will help you not only provide you with money, but also reputation. There's also the aforementioned pirate member recruitment, where you can recruit 2 pirate members by hiring them, and throughout the game you will be able to not only learn a little bit more about through their own events, through the friendship points they gain, but also they'll provide you with their own crafting quests, as well as giving direct ones, and NPCs will also have their own quests to give you as well. Not only that, but you have even the option to fire some of these pirate members for new ones particularly. There is also the thing known as the Flog Tower, which is pretty much a coliseum where you get to partake in multiple waves of enemies, ending with taking down a tough boss. In fact, there are also some other bits like finding other enemies where you hear via rumors that will also help you boost your knowledge. When you go to the overworld and head to a destination, occasionally you'll find either an item or enemy along the way. There is also things like simple gathering, where in each turn Marie will automatically gather, with occasionally bumping into an enemy for a fight. Speaking of, there will be also instances where enemies will be completely cleared away from locations at a given time. You can also hire fairies to help craft items or clean your room, and there are of course things like this game having a photo mode, which is great, and there's also numerous endings dependent on how you play the game. And I think that's also a great quality of this game, as it shows you on how much you can choose on how you want to play this game. And with it being a carefree game, people's experiences might be even a little different than others. For those who want to know, I got the legendary person ending. And there's also one last bit I kind of forgot to mention, or rather, I wish I forgot to mention. And that, my friends, is the minigames. Doing some parts of either crafting or exploring certain items, you'll be automatically forced to play these minigames until you are able to beat them. Fail them, and you won't be able to get what you need. And not gonna lie, this is probably the least thing I enjoy about this game in general. And while there are some decent ones like this whole Whack-a-Pony thing, others like Catching a Mouse and this Pac-Man style sleep thing, not gonna lie, I really didn't like that. Completing the game in general will unlock things like a very hard combat difficulty, as well as the gold fairy can be now up for hire, Marie getting a new outfit, and things like unlockable extras. My experience of this game took me about 6 hours actually, which for a game like this, especially for a JRPG, is refreshing. And those who want to do absolutely everything, or a lot, can get it all the way up to like say 10 hours or more. Now with all that I've covered, what do I think of the game in general, especially on how it differs from the tons of JRPGs I played? Well, to simply put, I really loved the Atelier Marie Remake, The Alchemist of Salsburg. I thought it was absolutely refreshing, comfortable, and a pleasant experience. Being able to choose on how you want to play the game, as well as, having not the care in the world to, save the world, as well as being able to craft items and enjoy the wonderful antics of Marie and her friends, and trying to make her succeed, was overall truly well worth it. After playing tons of JRPGs that are either 40, 50, 60 or 100 hours long, which all have these high stakes, intense themes, and a huge emphasis on story, with some of them even having, just long pacing or just cutscenes that go out far too long. Going to the Atelier Marie Remake felt just like a palate cleanser, a way to calm me down, and just for once relax and enjoy. The visuals, the characters, the music, even the gameplay kept me entranced, till I felt satisfied beating the game. While I do understand that this game might not have what you want in a JRPG due to its low stakes and simplified combat, I think its simplicity is pretty much its greatest strength, and I think this will allow newcomers to feel more comfortable playing. If there's one thing I don't really like, it's just some of the mini-games. This game was absolutely a fun experience, and not gonna lie, I think I now want to play the Atelier series sometime in the near future. So overall, I'll give Atelier Marie Remake the Alchemist of Salsburg 4 out of 5 ponies. Anyway guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and thanks once again for Koei Tecmo Europe for providing me a review copy. This was such an honor to do. I had such a fun playing this game, and I can't believe the opportunity I was able to play this. So yeah, have you guys played Atelier Marie Remake? Let me know down in the comments below. Anyway guys, until then, see you guys in the next video. Kaiser out.